I'm going to preface this by I both times that I did this, I've been extremely positive, and I wasn't trying to be. It wasn't my intention. I'm not trying to go into it with rose-colored glasses. Um, I think that my prediction will be wrong because when I get to my final number, I'm like that just seems too good to be true. But each time I do it, I feel like I have good reasons for making the choice that I'm making, and I'm especially in the beginning of the season very very high on the 49ers. And speaking of, because, people are talking about it being unfair, one good thing is the 49ers they only leave the Pacific time zone, I think, one time in the beginning half of the season. So that's also going to be something good for them. Both times that they've made the Super Bowl, they have started the season hot. That has been a key factor for them, getting that number one seed and everything else. But starting with week one, facing the Jets. An interesting thing on this, Hassan Reddick on the Jets and Leonard Floyd. Obviously, for people who aren't making the connection, Hassan Reddick broke Brock Purdy's elbow. Leonard Floyd tackled Aaron Rodgers and was the reason that Aaron Rodgers hurt or tore his Achilles. Kind of scary first game matchup. Now, obviously, I think probably won't actually affect either quarterback, but just an interesting underrated storyline of that game. But yeah, the New York Jets are coming down. Robert Saleh versus Kyle Shanahan. Obviously, Robert Saleh doesn't necessarily call the defense, but he has influence on it. And yeah, Aaron Rodgers versus Brock Purdy. Garrett Wilson versus what? Brandon Ayuk. It's going to be interesting. The two teams, how they're going to go. I think what I'm most interested in is just how Aaron Rodgers is going to look. As 49er fans, you and I both know that when we were coming into the season last year, we didn't know how Brock Purdy was going to perform coming off that elbow surgery. I know that I was personally pretty hesitant. I thought that he would really struggle. I'm sure that there's like a lot of Jets fans that are nervous that there might be some bumps and bruises for Aaron Rodgers, but maybe it'll be off to a hot start. I don't know. How are you feeling about this game?
So I think the Niners do win this game. I think it's going to be one of those closer game. I think the Jets will be better than people expect. But I think it's also a game where, with the unexpected of Aaron Rodgers, is Aaron Rodgers himself. Because if it is himself, he has a really good defense, really good weapons, a good running game. The Niners struggle to stop the run. I think it could be a lot closer than we think, and I think it could be one of those toss-up games. But I think the Niners win in Week 1.
I also think that. I assume that it'll be a good game though. Two good defenses. I'm interested to see if Kyle Shanahan tries to adjust his scheme a little bit because obviously Robert Saleh has some information. He has a good idea what Kyle Shanahan likes to do. But Kyle's really been able to own his predecessors. Is that the right word for it? His underlings, whatever. So I'm picking the 49ers, but I agree with you. I think depending on who you talk to, some people think this might be like a blowout easy game. I think it'll probably be a really good game, but I have the 49ers taking it away. So then they are going to the Vikings, and I have no idea. Is it going to be JJ McCarthy? Is it going to be Sam
It's
Darnold?
JJ. It's JJ. Yeah, I don't see Sam Darnold starting over there year one. I got that as a win for the Niners. Young
Me
team,
too.
not good enough. Niners win. Then they go to immediately.
Justin
They go
Jefferson gonna
to.
pout?
I mean, he might, but the thing is, like, it's early in the season, so I don't think he'll be pouting just yet. I think
Got
later in
it.
the season, if he's not getting the ball, he'll
Is
he'll
he
be
gonna?
upset.
Who's gonna be on him? Travarius Ward
Whoever's on him is it's trouble.
gonna be a long
it's
day.
true. Then we go to Los Angeles on my birthday. I think LA wins.
You think LA wins
Yeah,
on
I
your
think LA
birthday?
wins.
Also,
Yeah. I think LA
happy
wins.
birthday, Marco.
I can
Levi's
never have
out.
anything. I can never have anything well on a holiday, my birthday. Niners lose, just because I feel like there's gonna be a game where LA upsets us, and I think it's gonna be at home early in the season. And I think Stafford, good offensive line, good weapons. Their defense is gonna be solid.
I just want to say that Marco said at home, which was just a slip up because obviously Levi South is also a
I
home
did say
game.
home. Oh yeah, my bad.
Yeah. But it's a home game. I agree with you. I almost feel like Niners get more up when they go to Levi's or when they go to Levi South.
Yeah, because they're on vacation. They're at their second home. They're at their
They're like
second home.
excited. They want to like prove a point. I think I mean, I get it. Their offensive power is going to be pretty good. Obviously, I think at this time of the season, Matthew Stafford will probably still be healthy. They have Cooper Cup coming back. Puka Nacua had an outstanding season last year. But my thing is just on defense. What do they have? They don't even have Aaron Donald. I don't. How
Their
are they going
defense
to
is
stop
good.
this?
Their defense
No,
is
it's not.
young. Yes, it is. It's
No.
a if you go look at their young defense that played last year.
Tomato, tomato, tomato.
It's a young good defense.
Can you name a single player? Don't Google it. Are you Googling
Kobe
right?
Kobe Bryant. That's one of the guys.
Okay.
There's a lot. They had a couple of young rookies last year. I can't think of their. They had a defensive tackle and an edge rusher. Young, who was his last name? Uh, they just signed a corner
Name,
for that they used to
name
have.
one player.
I mean, two right there.
Okay, so you're going 2-1. I'm going win. I think it'll be a good game. The 49ers and Rams games honestly depend no matter which team is good or bad, they always have really competitive games against each other. I think Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan just love to go at it and prove a point. But yeah, I think the 49ers are beating the Rams. I think the offense of the Rams will try to keep up, but I don't think their defense is going to have enough to slow down the 49ers at this point. They're going to run the ball all over them. Christian McCaffrey's still going to be healthy at this point in the season. Knowing Kyle Shanahan, he's going to run Christian McCaffrey 30 times in September for some goddamn reason. Um, so I
We could
think
say the
that it's
same
going to
thing
be a
though.
win.
The Rams could run the ball down on us too because we don't have the Eric Armstead. We don't know how the run defense is going to be. They got Blake Corum, the rookie they just drafted to go along with
Rams are kind of
Kyron Williams.
soft. Rams are kind of soft.
They,
Rams are kind of
I mean,
soft.
they have the better quarterback.
Yeah,
They have the better
I
quarterback.
think
They
I
have
would
the
agree
better
with
offense.
that.
They
But
have the better quarterback, the better offensive line. You could
I
argue
said
that they have a good.
offensively, I think that they'll keep up, but I think their defense just doesn't have a strong enough.
Yeah, you're sleeping on their two defensive tackles, Brown, Turner, Jared Verse, the rookie they just drafted,
Kyle
Braden
Shanahan
Fisk, another
beats Sean
rookie.
McVay in the regular season like candy, like every single time.
They're a better team than people were giving them credit for. Watch, they're gonna make the playoffs.
I believe that they're better. I mean, last year they far outplayed expectations, right? Like I think Sean McVay. I think either on the show with you or on other shows that I've done, I have no idea. I think Sean McVay deserves a lot more credit. He literally has the Super Bowl. I think he should be talked about within the same way that Kyle Shanahan is talked about. And I think most people would say that Kyle Shanahan is the better coach by far, and I don't really understand that. I think Sean McVay is a great coach, so I'm definitely not downing them. I think the way they've been able to turn around their team after having that one down year after the Super Bowl has been impressive. But yeah, I'm still going to say you're going to have a good birthday and the 49ers are going to win.
Telling you, they're gonna lose. And then they
Are
go
you going to
to
go?
they I don't know. I might. It depends. I'm trying. It depends. And then they end up going home to Levi's to play New England and Arizona. I think both of those games are wins. I think New England doesn't have a good roster. I think Arizona is a year away, but they have some young offensive weapons. I don't even think the New England game that's just like an automatic win. Like I think there shouldn't be no questions asked on that one. So I have them starting the year 4-1.
Who's their quarterback in New England?
Drake May.
Drake May. Okay. And that was the one that Bill Belichick didn't even really have that nice of stuff to say when they drafted him, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I
I didn't
remember.
watch any of the what the commentators were saying.
Okay. I think they're definitely it's interesting because you kind of brushed off the Cardinals, which is what I did with the Rams. The way you feel about the Rams is kind of how I feel about the Cardinals. I'm thinking if Kyler Murray and
Hold on,
Marvin Harrison
name one person on their defense.
I still have it as a lot. I still have it
Yeah,
as a
because
win
their
for the
defense,
49ers.
their offense
But
is
I
good.
think that they have a good I think that like that quarterback and that wide receiver, if they get a good connection, it could be reminiscent of like Cooper Cup, Matthew Stafford. You know what I mean? Like sometimes you just have just that one connection, your quarterback and wide receiver, you just like go back and forth and take over the game. And I could see that happening, but I don't think that I once again think that their defense is gonna let them down. And I don't think they'll have enough, especially that early on. I don't know if um they'll be able to, score that much to completely take over a game, but I feel higher. I mean, you just like mentioned the Cardinals like stuck in there. You were like, we don't even have to address them. I think that
Yeah,
they, no.
they're a year away. I think they're a year away. I
Okay.
think that's a so with when
Jonathan
you look at
Gannon has been a better coach so far than like Cliff
mm,
Kingsbury and stuff.
yeah, but
So
it wasn't
then,
the bar wasn't set high, so it's
true. So then they go at Seattle for week 6. How do you feel about this one? That's gonna be the Thursday night game. Good game. I've heard really good things about Seattle Stadium. I know earlier we were talking about Levi's and wishing it was in San Francisco. I think that this is a win for the 49ers.
is it is it raining because it's in October? Is it raining?
Is their quarterback Geno Smith?
Is it raining?
Is their quarterback Geno Smith? Geno
It's
Smith
not the
is
question.
scared
Is it
of
raining?
Bosa. I mean,
Is it,
I probably October
then it's a
10th.
loss.
I'm gonna say it's rain. I'm gonna say it's rain. You think it's a
Then it's a
loss? That's
loss
crazy. That's
because
crazy.
Mike McDonald is gonna have this defense ready, the same game plan that they had against Baltimore. He's gonna come in with that same kind of game plan. How do you attack it? Guess who else ran those kind of game plans? The Cleveland Browns, the Kansas City Chiefs. That's what they're gonna do. If it's raining, the Niners
How is
will lose.
Geno? How are the Seahawks offense gonna score on the 49ers?
You're sleeping on Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb is a much better play caller, much better offensive coordinator than the Seattle Seahawks have had in years. Like
But Geno looks like he's seen a ghost every time he goes against the 49ers. He sees Nick
he doesn't.
Bosa, pees
He's
his
not going to have
pants.
to do as much.
They did better when they had the guy who sung that game. Who's the backup that he went viral for singing the song? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Drew Lock.
Yeah. Literally, when they played against him, I thought he did better. He at least was like throwing the ball down the field. Geno Smith just stands in the pocket and takes sacks.
I think they're going to be fine. I think it's at the end of the day. I think if it's raining, it's a loss. Then that just it's
That's so
rain.
crazy.
Rain with Brock, their defensive game plan with McDonald. I think
Run the
that
ball.
steers me that way.
Run the
They
ball.
can. They're stacked the box. It's the same thing though. Oh, you can run the ball against Baltimore.
I don't know. That I see your point because Brock Purdy struggles in the rain, and these are the things where I'm saying when you look back, they could drop one of these games that I'm overlooking, and I wouldn't be against it. I wouldn't say you're wrong.
If you had said
But
it was
I have them
sunny, it's
winning.
a win. If it's sunny, they win.
I want to make a bet with you right now. I think even if it's raining, week 6 they win against the
If
Seahawks.
if it's raining, it has to be raining though.
If it's raining,
All right, it's a bet.
what are we betting? Like what does the other person have to do?
I don't know.
We have to figure it out. Let us I just hit my face with this. Let us know in the comments what the loser should do for this bet. If it's raining week 6, which by the way, Tom did because Tom lives in Seattle, and I guess he's gone back and it's been raining for the last like 5 years on the 10th in October. So it's very possible that it's raining. It's also a night game. Usually, you know what I mean? It's going to be at least moist for lack of a better word out there. Um I'm still giving it to the 49ers, but I see your point. I can't bet on Geno Smith. Has Geno Smith won a single game against the 49ers yet? No,
No,
right?
he's 0-3. He's 0-3.
Okay. So, yeah.
But he hasn't
That's
played bad in every single game. There's games where he played decent enough to not lose. So it's but if it's raining, that's where it's
10 you daddies or 10 you
yeah,
mamas.
not
LOL.
happening.
What's that?
Not happening. I don't know, but it's not happening.
I thought maybe it was it's a like a race thing? Like I don't know. I did track and field, but I haven't heard about that. But I'll race you. Maybe Marco and I will go to some sort of game at the same
That's
time, and
hella funny.
I'll have to take off my shoes and we'll race each other in the parking lot. Everyone else is gonna be like tailgating, getting drunk, and you and I are gonna be doing races.
Racing. That's hella funny.
Is that what he
And then
meant? Yeah, race cars.
I don't know.
That's gonna be us. Marco and I are gonna race. I don't know how that would make that seems like a. I
That's a
feel like
double bet, but
the
all right.
loser. Yeah, the loser should do that. Anyways, okay. So leaving
Kansas
Seattle.
City. You have that as a loss.
Yeah,
I have that as a
yeah. So
loss.
I
I
have
don't even
that.
want to talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that
yeah.
game because it's Kansas City. Everyone knows why we're chalking it up as a loss.
So So 6-1 for me. This is the first loss that I think the 49ers are going to face. So if you guys are keeping track, I think the 49ers are on kind of a roll to start the season, which, by the way, is wonderful when you consider that they've been on a roll to start the season the only 2 times that they've made it to the Super Bowl. So I'm so far predicting it's a good ass season for the 49ers. But yeah, I think there's no way that you can earnestly bet that the 49ers beat the Chiefs. I think a lot of teams go into the season with like a game circled, and maybe this will be a game that the 49ers players really want to win and make a statement for. The only way that I could see them losing to Dallas is if maybe they build up all this tension, really, really try to go all out to beat the Chiefs. Like they put so much emotional, not just physical, because obviously football is physical, but so much emotional bandwidth on focusing on beating the Chiefs and getting over that hump just to prove to themselves that they can do that. Because if they lose to the Chiefs in the regular season and they end up facing them again, it's like they're just gonna never have faith that they can beat this freaking team. Now all of a sudden what I'm just saying that I think the 49ers are going to do against the Chiefs, where they're going to have that game circled, for a fact, Dak, Micah Parsons, friggin' Jerry Jones. Jerry, didn't he say last year that the 49ers were like their Super Bowl test or whatever? So
Yeah.
I know that they're going to want to go all out and try to beat the 49ers. But I don't think the Cowboys have done much to get better at all this year. I think that that's going to be a win for the 49ers.
Yeah, I think Niners beat the Cowboys. I don't think this little brother. And then they got. I think it's more so it's the mentality. Like the Niners come with a we're gonna run the ball down your throat and we're gonna laugh at you while we do it. And Dallas can't do nothing about it.
Yeah.
And then they go to Tampa. I think they beat Tampa. I don't think Tampa has a good enough roster. Offensively, they might be able to put up points. They have Baker, a couple of good receivers over there, but I think they beat Tampa.
Mike Evans. Mike Evans is good, but he's also getting a little bit older, and I think you're right. Like their
Forget
best
about Chris Godwin.
defensive player is that safety that they just got, but I think it could be maybe more competitive game in the beginning half, but they kind of put it away in the second half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of game. 49ers are accustomed to doing that. Now obviously there's some travel there, but coming off a bye week, then they come home and they face the Seahawks again. How do you feel about this Seahawks one? You think the Seahawks are sweeping the 49ers, or do you have this one as a loss?
I have Seattle. I have Seattle as a win. That second matchup at home.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they'll play Seattle. They'll beat Seattle at home. So they'll beat they'll go on a 3-game win streak. Dallas, Tampa, and then Seattle, and then they go to Green Bay and Buffalo in the cold, rainy, snowy like game.
Yes. So this is a hard part of their season. I have them beating the Seahawks for the same reasons I gave earlier, except for now they're going to be in Levi Stadium. Still might be raining, but I think the 49ers win that one. But then they head in late November against the Packers. Jordan Love and that young team, I'm anticipating that they are going to improve. Now it's going to be interesting to watch Jordan Love over the season. Does that erratic decision making that he could tend to make sometimes end up going away? He had that in college too. It's not just something he had in the NFL. But obviously you saw the really high caliber traits there. Does he kind of rail in a little bit of his mistakes and do his and hone in on what he does well? I think his receivers, obviously, they were young. Some of them were rookies, second year guys. They're going to be in way more of a flow this year. I think the Packers are going to be better this year. Um, I can see the decision. I can see it going either way. I can see the 49ers winning or losing. I think this is going to be a close game, probably low scoring game. I am giving it to the Packers just because right now I have the 49ers with literally one loss. Um,
So you're just
so
doing it just to do it. Yeah, you know what?
but
I have to
I
give them a
also
loss,
think
but it
that
should
they
be a tie.
could. I also think that they could lose. I'm just saying, like, I think that they could win. Like, I think it'll be a really good game. But I don't.
I think
Sometimes some of the people that are talking about the Packers, I think people are. And I think it's justifiable. I think the Packers are going to be a good team, but people are, in my opinion, really hyping them up, and I don't know if they're going to be as good as the hype for them is going to be. But I think that they could win that game. And I think
Yeah,
they're going to want some get back on, they basically were winning the game until the very last drive, very last pass, at least, interception. So I think the Packers are going to have the 49ers circled. Now, once again, when we go to the underlings, Kyle really usually puts his underlings, is that the right word? Predecessors in a blender. So I could see the 49ers winning. I just made a case for both sides. What are you saying?
it's going to be a close game. Weather's going to play a huge factor. It's late November in Wisconsin. It's going to be cold. Might even be snowing around that time. If it's
Yeah.
snowing, I don't know who wins. Like it's going to be one of whoever can run the ball better. Both teams can run the ball.
Is
Whoever can
Christian
stop the run
McCaffrey
better.
going to be injured? Knock on so much wood.
I mean, it's later in the year, so it's definitely his body's going to be more worn down. But so is Josh Jacobs over there.
Yeah,
And so for me,
same to be said.
yeah. So for me, I have it as a win, but I could see this one being a loss, um, just because of the weather. We go to
Okay.
Buffalo in December. I think that's a loss. I think weather's gonna play
Me
a
too.
factor. I think also Josh Allen is a really good quarterback. So those games are it's gonna be a little tough stretch. Seattle, Green Bay, and Buffalo right there.
I completely agree. I'm writing down our scores if you're wondering why I'm looking down. But I also have Buffalo as a loss. I think that there's going to be weather is going to be a huge factor. Josh Allen's arm can cut through any sort of weather. Also, just the last time that Josh Allen faced the 49ers, friggin' Kyle Shanahan ended up trading to the number 3 pick to go get someone who reminded him of him because he performed so well. Um, yeah, he I feel like was extremely impressive.
Maybe this
Now,
is the game that makes Kyle trade up into the first round and trade Brock Purdy to go get a quarterback. Who knows?
yeah,
Something
maybe
wild.
like maybe it's just like that embarrassing that Kyle, like you're really gonna see a discrepancy there, right? It's gonna
And
be
I'm
interesting
just
to
kidding, by the way. I don't want people to
that's
take me as serious.
no, I know. But I mean, you're joking, but also that's kind of what I was saying earlier when I was saying it's good that the 49ers can't pay him yet and that they do have this year to assess because I do think it's going to be interesting to compare and contrast how well Josh Allen and Brock Purdy do. If Brock Purdy looks horrible in this game and Josh Allen looks like a superstar, I think that's something to consider when you're talking about paying Brock Purdy $60 million. If they both look competitive and Brock Purdy maybe even if the 49ers don't win or he makes a couple mistakes, but if he looks like he's keeping the team in the game and participating in why the 49ers are, at least sticking up and making it a fight, I'll be impressed. I'll leave that game happy with Brock Purdy. But if you leave that game and you're like, "Oh yeah, those quarterbacks shouldn't even be,
On the same field. Yeah,
mentioned
yeah.
in the same field," that's going to be when then we're looking at paying Brock Purdy, it's going to be like, "Well, that sucks because as a fan, I like Brock Purdy, but you got to consider those things when you're paying people top dollar. That's gonna be a very disappointing game if you leave it and feel like it was just that horrific of a difference. I'm anticipating a difference, but I'm hoping that Brock Purdy looks like he at least belongs on the field. I like I said, I think it's gonna be a loss, and I don't even care if it's a loss, but I want you to show me that you at least belong there. You know what I mean? And I don't know if he will. And I think the 49ers need to take that game into consideration.
Absolutely. I mean, you got to take the whole season into consideration, but like you got to take weather on any weather game because you're going to be playing Seattle in weather like games. You're going to be playing other competitive games in the weather throughout the years, especially if Green Bay is going to be a team that may be in the hunt every year. Chicago also, right? Like teams that you may have to travel to in the playoffs at some point. So next game would be Chicago. I think Niners beat Chicago. I just think they're just too young quarterback. Defense isn't that good yet. But this is a game that could be a toss up. And why I'm going to say this is it'll already be like a year into the season for Caleb Williams. If Caleb Williams is clicking at this point, he has 3 good receivers. His offense may be able to put up points. That's where our secondary lacks in terms of who can you cover. And then defensively, can they put enough pressure? Can they do enough things to win a game on the road? But at the end of the day, I think the Niners pull off this win. But I think this could be one of those ones where it gets overlooked and then they end up punching you in the mouth and they strike first and they stay ahead and they win. But I think I have the Niners winning that game. So after coming off a loss to Buffalo, I have the Niners winning that game. in December.
I like what you said. Like I would rather face the Bears earlier on in the season while they're still trying to get that in that groove. But I like you have it as a win. But I'm going to be interested. I think Caleb Williams is actually going into a really good situation. I think he has good weapons. They added some pieces on that defense. It feels like they kind of learned, like they were like, we put Justin Fields in a horrible situation. Let's kind of try to learn from that. Now, I think coaching wise, I don't think Matt Eberflus is the best, and I still do think even though they're a bit talented, I think the 49ers will outmatch them. But but yeah, I have that as a 49ers win as well. Okay, next
Thursday
is
night, LA at home.
now multiple Thursday games. I don't know how the players feel about that. I have this as a win for the 49ers. I think Matthew Stafford could be nicked up, dinged up by then. So I don't know. I already had them losing earlier on in the season when I thought Matthew Stafford would be healthy. But you said I'm underrating that defense, so maybe you have a different opinion. But I have that as a win.
No, I have that as a win as well. I think they get the Niners early in the year, and then the Niners beat them later in the year. So I have both of those. I have that game as a win, and then they go to Miami on 10 days rest because they have that Thursday night game. Going to Miami across the country. I think they beat Miami. I think Miami's offensive line isn't
Should be
as
nice
good.
weather too. It's nice to
It
have
should be.
Miami later on.
Yeah, it should be. So you're going to play them. I think they beat Miami. I don't think
Me too.
Tua is
I have
that good of a
no
quarterback.
confidence in Tua. No,
Yeah,
yeah, me
and
neither.
then, so I think that's going to be one of the fun games though because of the coaching storyline
Yeah,
there. And then so you have that one as a win too, right?
I do. Yeah.
And then Detroit, I think, is the biggest game of the year. I think this is going to dictate who wins the first seed or potentially that extra bye week. I think the Detroit Lions win. I think they were super close to beating us last year. They were up on us. I think they could do the same thing, run the ball efficiently, pass the ball efficiently. Defensive wise, they got much better. I think they beat the 49ers in the regular season and they get the number one seed, and then the Niners are not the number one seed. I know I go back and forth like, hey, you know what? They may get the number one seed, they may not. That's going to be the deciding factor. I know with Jesse, I said I think
With
the
my
Niners
ledger
win.
prediction, because I have with where I have them right now, I put that down as a loss for them in the regular season. Which by the way, I do think that they could beat them in the playoffs. But with the way that I have my record, would they still lose to that number one seed? Because I have them higher than you do right now. They're only
What's said? It would
I
all
have them with
depend
only
on.
3 losses going into that one.
Then they would probably win the division,
Even if they lost against the Lions?
depending on what the Lions' record is at that point. I think the Niners and the Lions finish with the same record, 12-5,
Okay.
and I think the win that whoever wins that game will have that upper hand. Um, yeah, I know. Yesterday or Thursday I said on Jesse's show. I think Niners win that game, but after looking at everything, I'm like, wait, looking at the schedule, looking at the Lions schedule, I think Detroit's going to be on a heater. Like they're going to be playing really well. They're at home. Oh no, they're on the road. Sorry, on the road 2 weeks in a row. It's a Monday night game. I think
Rodney
that could be a
disagrees
game.
with you.
Yeah,
Rodney
it's. I
disagrees
think
with you, and it's
I think it's a
both
toss
of
up.
us have both of us have the Lions winning, which is kind of interesting. I kind of have it more as a like I think it's going to be a hard fought game. I think maybe the Lions, depending on how if they are contending for that first seed, I think maybe the Lions will want it more. Or something. I don't know why I had the Lions winning. But I can see it being a hard fought game. I don't have a ton of confidence in Jared Goff against this defense, but the Lions defense kind of made it hell for the 49ers last year. And if it wasn't for, a miracle off the helmet catch, then that game could have gone a lot differently. I think it'll be a competitive game. I also have the 49ers dropping that one. And then against the Cardinals, I have them being able to sit their players for that game. But now
Yeah, they're
that you
not
and
going to
I
be
are
able to sit.
talking, they won't be able to do that.
Mm-mm.
So if they're not doing that, then I have that as a clear win for the 49ers.
Yeah, that's going to be a game they win. They have to win. If it's all going to come down to that, I think it's all going to come down to that Lions game and possibly that Packers game. Um, that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. I think those are the two games where they're going to be the top three, top four teams. Whichever one of those teams wins those games, because Packers and Lions play each other multiple times, that could also be a deciding factor as well. Later in the year, going to be interesting for the Niners.
So
You can't fall any of those games.
I only have them with 4 losses. So I have them 13-4. That's a crazy good record, if it turns out that way. Now, if we are thinking realistically, the 49ers always drop a game that we don't anticipate. Are they really going to sweep the division again, which is what I have them doing? Probably not. I mean, that's a hard thing to just bet on. When I go game by game, I gave a good reason I felt like for it. But when you're just asking me that, I'm like, "Ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that." You have them at 12-5.
Yeah, 12-5.
So both of our predictions are high, but I think the way I have it, the 49ers would have the 1 seed and you would have them right behind the Lions.
Yeah, it's for me. That's what I have them at. I have them. It's going to be a very competitive season. I think the NFC this year is better than it was last year. So it's going to be games that are a lot harder for the 49ers. So it's definitely going to be intriguing. I think the Niners could get the 1 seed, but also think Detroit has gotten much better. So it's going to be very interesting to see who gets that number 1 seed, because the Niners would have to win 10 games in a row. Based off of what Jesse said, 1, 2, 3. No,
Why would
wrong
they have
one.
to win 10 games in a
1,
row?
2, 3.
I do have them starting like 9-1 though. Because I have
Because
their first loss against the Chiefs.
based off of the bye week, right? They're gonna go. I mean, 9 straight games. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9. Then they would have divisional, or 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it'd be like 9 straight games where they would have to just play straight, or 10 straight games where they have to play to get to the
Scary for
Super
the
Bowl.
older veteran team. Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
love that.
So like you have to get that week 1
Who do you
bye.
think will be in the playoffs?
Detroit,
Lions?
Niners, Detroit, Niners, Packers, Rams.
Are you anticipating
Probably Atlanta.
you think the 49ers make it back to the NFC Championship game? Just guessing. Obviously, no one knows.
If they get the 1 seed, yeah. If they don't, no.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. See, I think if they get the 1 seed, they'll make it to the Super Bowl. I think if they don't, they'll make it to the NFC Championship game. And either way, I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl, which is fucked up, but that's just the truth. Because I know that people are going to be calling me a homer right there with my entire. I feel like I'm pretty high on them. But yeah, it's going to be hard. I think your predictions are probably a little more realistic because, like someone said earlier, it's going to be very hard to get back to the Super Bowl. So I'm pretty positive that they'll make it back to the NFC Championship game, no matter what. I think it'll take a lot of luck for them to get back to the Super Bowl, but I could see it happening.
It's gonna be a lot harder to get back to the Super Bowl. The Lions have closed the gap. The Packers have closed the gap. The Rams in your own division have closed the gap. So it's gonna be a lot harder to get back to the Super Bowl. I don't think it's impossible. I think the Niners have one of the best rosters on paper, but the other teams have gotten much better. The other teams were good last year, so it's gonna be very intriguing to watch how it plays out. It's all gonna come down to the end of the season.
And those teams thought they got better. The 49ers just tried to not get worse. It'll
Which
be
is
interesting
scary.
to see how that offensive line holds up. I know I said that with sarcasm in my voice because if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. Should be the mindset. But this was so fun to do. Everyone, please make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to Clutch Sheen Sports. I always have such a great time chatting with you, Marco. We'll have to figure out that week 6 Seahawks game is going to be a bet that we're going to do. Anyone, make sure to like and subscribe, and then comment different challenges or little things that you think Marco and I should do. Different maybe disagreements that you'd like us to.
And do me a favor, go over to Clutching Sports, comment your record prediction, because I know a lot of you guys were like, "Oh, I predicted the record."
Write it in the comments.
So I want to see it because I have either way. Even if I might have some of those games off, right? Like I think the Niners will be 12-5. Even if some of those games are off, like for example, they might end up beating the Lions.
By the way,
they might
I
lose
was even more positive today somehow. Last when I did this yesterday and with my dad, I was 12-5 like you, and
So
today I'm 13-4. Weird.
So I don't want you guys to be like, oh, I had the Niners 15-1, and the Niners go 15-1. You're like, I predicted it, or 16-1, I predicted it. Like, no, comment, so we know what you had, right? But thanks everyone for tuning in. Appreciate all of y'all.